So, like, my quote unquote business at Cutco could die.
I mean, if you look at like the top athletes, top musicians, celebrities, dude, they all have coaches, man. Like, what LeBron James pays like what $2-3 million a year to take care of his body. How did that happen, dude? How did you get into the real Bradley's headquarters? How did that all came up being, man?
All right. To you and your audience, hold on to your tits. You ready for this?
Hey everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of Beyond the Grind. Michael Hudson here. Thanks for joining us today. So this is a pretty special episode because I've been following this guy for quite a while. We first met in Bradley's The Real Coaching. It's basically a mastermind group that we go to every week. And I got to tell you, this dude is just like, his charisma and his positive vibes are like super contagious. So I just had to have him on the show, pick his brain, like and things like that. So Brady Flanders, what is going on, dude?
Dude, charisma and a positive attitude. That's a bad combination for. I could be a cult leader with a description like that. Goodness gracious! Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Oof.
Dude, come on.
I'm doing fantastic, man. It is a beautiful day.
Awesome.
In South Florida. Yeah. It is hot, and you can't ask for anything better, man. I love it.
I love it. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Yeah, I've been to Florida once. I went to Orlando, and I have to say, like, when I was there, it was a pretty cool experience. I mean, we did the whole like Disney World thing, Universal Studios. It was super humid. That's the thing that like stood out the most to me. And then like it was when we got there, like it would be like not a cloud in the sky. Midday, it would just be pouring down rain for like 20 minutes, and then no cloud in the sky again. It was just crazy.
You know those movies where you're standing in the middle of an open field and like the rain starts coming down on top of you, and then you move to the left and the rain follows you. It's like that sometimes. I'll just be in the car and just beautiful day, and then just rain is on top of me. It's just a weird state. Dude. I love it though.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, dude, I wanted thanks for joining the show, and I just wanted to basically, purpose of the show is just kind of get the behind the scenes, like what makes an entrepreneur tick, right? So I've been following you like on Instagram and things like that. I know you run your own business. You're looking to scale up and take your skills to the next level. So I just want to get into the nitty gritty about that stuff. So I guess first and foremost is like, kind of people who don't know you. I mean, kind of tell us your story, how you came to be, how you discovered your business that you own right now.
Yeah, man. So my name's Brady. I own a swimming pool cleaning company, which for South Florida, I mean, it's a pretty good business to be in, man. It's like if you're in Seattle, it's like owning what do you guys have, like fish and
fish, coffee.
But no, yeah. So I own it's a pool cleaning company called the Water Dogs, Water Dog Pool Services, and I've been doing that. I started that back in December of 22. Then I kind of got started with it realistically, the beginning of 2023 is when I got into that. Before that, I was pretty much just having a good time. I was living out of my camper van. I had left a 7-year career with a direct sales company. I had a lot of money saved up, and I grew the hair out, did van life if you're familiar. And after a while, I was like, dude, I want to get back into business, and stumbled across the pool business and brand new, knew nothing about it, nothing about pools. I could have maybe spelled chlorine before I got into it. That's about it. And man, we're growing. And so it's exciting.
That's awesome, man. So like you just mentioned 7 years in a direct sales job. So like what was the turning point that you're basically just like, dude, I got to just start my own gig?
It was, I was kind of chasing a couple different rabbits at the time. You know what they say, if you chase two rabbits, both of them will usually get away from you, And I had two rabbits, and I was like, this one's paying me a lot of money, and it doesn't really take up a tremendous amount of my time or energy or effort. And I got this other thing that's taking up all of my time, energy, and effort, and not paying me a tremendous amount of money right now. I was just like, I decided after 7 years, I mean, it got to a point where it was rather repetitive, just doing the same exact things on a daily basis. I knew I was destined for a little bit more. I wanted a slice of a slightly bigger pie, and I felt like I don't want to sit here and make it sound like I'd gotten all out of the opportunity that I could have gotten, but I felt, after almost a decade, dude, you can milk a lot out of an opportunity. So that's where it kind of came down to.
Gotcha. And so why the pool industry? I mean, were you doing like research before, and you kind of just like, oh, dude, this is a need in the community? What was kind of like your process?
I can't remember who told me about her, but if you're familiar with Cody Sanchez,
Oh yeah,
she's like the queen of business
yeah,
acquisitions, right? And
huge,
I don't know if I
huge.
followed her on Twitter. I think it was my buddy Roman actually down here. She was on a podcast with Ryan Pineda, and I didn't know who he
Okay.
was at the time either. Um, but I started just kind of consuming her content, and the idea of like buying a business felt it felt cool. You know, I was like, I want to give this thing a try. So I went to bizbuysell.com, which is still a website that fascinates the hell out of me. And I just started looking through different businesses. On their site, you'll see everything from convenience stores to like textile factories. I mean, just everything, man. It's all everything. And if you live in South Florida, almost every other post on that website is a pool route. And there were some that were like, $200,000 to get into. There were some that were 20,000. And I'm like, why not? We'll give this thing a try. I reached out to the company that brokered the deal, signed a bunch of paperwork, NDAs, met with the seller, signed a note. I mean, it was a pretty straightforward process. But before you knew it, I owned the infrastructure to a pool company and got to start getting to
Wow.
work.
Damn. So like when you put the money up for it, I mean, was it just kind of just like you were thrown into the wolves sort of deal, or did it already have systems in place within that business when you
Well, the
purchased
thing
it?
is, with the pool company, it's the industry is unique because generally speaking, when you buy a route, you're not buying like if I bought like a gas station. Usually, the owner's going to stay on. He's going to teach you for X amount of
Right.
time, whatever you negotiate. With the pool route, I didn't buy a website. I didn't buy equipment. I didn't buy like there was a 1099 contractor that came with the deal, but I pretty much just bought customers' name, phone number, email, and addresses. That's it, with a promise from the seller that they weren't going to compete for 5 years, but they wanted out of the business anyway. And there's aspects of the business now where I kind of understand why they were getting out of the business. It can be challenging, but yeah, I basically just bought a book of business, and
Got
I
it. Okay.
kind of sort of had to figure it out myself. But YouTube is a tremendous tool, and I went to there's this they're nationwide. It's a company called Leslie's. Uh,
Okay.
Most of the guys inside have never done my job, but they're very informative they know what they're talking about when it comes to chemicals. And I learned a lot from like the employees in those stores as well.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Because, I mean, here you are, super comfortable, seven years in the business, getting paid really well. I'm pretty sure probably six figures or so a year,
In that neighborhood.
and yeah, and you just take this huge risk as far as buying a business, putting up your own money to purchase this business, and going into unknown territories. So like, my question is like, bro, like, were there or has there ever been any times where you kind of just like regret the decision, and you're just like, some days you're just like, dude, I need to just go back to like something comfortable? Like, what's kind of like your thoughts around that?
Not really, man. It's well, and the thing is, like, I didn't even really look at it as a huge risk. It's like it's a proven industry. You drive around South Florida, you're gonna pass a billion of those trucks that have like the pool equipment on the back. Like people, every house down here has a pool. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like a startup company. People have been doing it forever. Um, and I'm not the type. Listen, I've got a tendency to sometimes shoot first and ask questions later, which occasionally can bite me in the butt. But I tend not to get too tied up with like paralysis by analysis. I think a lot of people would sit down and break down the numbers for 6 months, 9 months, and before they realize it, like the opportunity's gone. It's for me. It's like sweet. If I want to do something, I'm going to jump on it. Obviously I'll do a little bit of homework. I'll talk to some people, do some research, but yeah, it's not like I was starting like a new cancer company. I'm trying to find a cure. I'm cleaning swimming pools, man. I mean, it's not a very risky endeavor.
Yeah, got it, got it. So like, what's kind of the was there like a large learning curve as far as, I'm not just talking about like cleaning pools, but actually like the business side? Like, because obviously when you're with your old job, you had a specific type of mindset, right? Now you're basically like a full blown entrepreneur. You're basically wearing multiple hats. So what was kind of like that journey of basically adjusting to that new lifestyle?
Well, my situation was a little bit more unique, Michael, because I worked with a company called Cutco, if you're familiar. And with that job, I was a district manager there for a lot of years. So that's a unique position because I was technically a 1099, which means, means
Got it.
I'm an independent worker. I'm working under the umbrella of a company, but I kind of had my own individual gig. So,
Got it.
like, my quote unquote business at Cutco could die. It could shut down. Like, I could fail. And I did. The first time I ever opened up a Cutco office, I failed miserably. Um, but like the mentality when I was working there was not entirely like a bootstrap startup entrepreneur, but most certainly didn't have the mentality of like a 9 to 5. I understood the concept of getting paid on value versus time. I knew how to build things. I knew how to recruit. I knew how to interview. I knew how to develop people. I knew how to take risk to a certain extent, but the transition, I really do have to give them credit because if I didn't have the skills, the confidence, and the experience that I got from working there, translated beautifully to when I did want to open up my own fully independent gig.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that's great, man. So, I mean, that's a pretty smart move because a lot of people don't really do something that's mercurial, meaning like it's similar, or
Yeah.
not mercurial, but symbiotic in a way that you're able to use the same skills, but now you're doing something that's you're a little bit more independent
Yeah.
compared to before. So, I mean, like, how's the experience been so far? I mean, running that business, I'm sure you've been surveying like a lot of people and things of that nature. I mean, what are some lessons you've learned so far starting this business?
That's a great question. Um, like all things, it takes, if you want to get good at something, it takes practice. Like I said, when I was brand new, and I was rather fortunate. Like I said, when I first acquired the business, I had a 1099 that came with me. So he was already skilled. He was already cleaning the pools for the previous owners. Um, so I didn't really have to immediately get thrown into the fire, but that was something I learned. I never really experienced anything like that in Cutco. So like I remember, I started dealing with like the no shows and the sporadic communication, and things started to break down between me and him. And it got to a point where I was like, listen, man, like this just isn't working. I'm paying you X, and you're supposed to deliver on Y, and I've been paying you X, and you're not delivering on Y. That's an issue in the business world, right? And I ended up letting him go. And that's a good story. Within 5 minutes of me sending that text, I get a text from my top 2 clients. Hey, we're going to continue service with Harold, by the way. Thanks. I'm like, wait, what? He immediately poached. So
Oh my
I didn't have him
god.
sign a do not compete. I
Oh
didn't have him.
no,
So
dude.
like that was something I had to learn the hard way.
Hmm.
But it's stuff like that. It's working with employees. It's dealing with headache customers. In Cutco, we never really fired clients, so to speak. And when you have your own business, I'm starting to come to the conclusion that like if you've got a pain in the ass customer who's not paying a lot of money to your bottom line, it's okay to fire them.
Yeah.
That's a new concept. I had to learn
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting. There's been definitely some lessons, and I'm still learning. I don't want to make it sound like I'm the pool god. I'm like
Yeah.
the lower 80%, I would imagine. I don't know, but I'm not an expert in
Right.
this field by any stretch. But I'm learning.
That's great, man. I mean, yeah, it's funny you mentioned earlier about basically like the ones that aren't paying you much are like the biggest headache, dude. It's crazy how that works, dude. It's just like I totally relate to that because I mean, you see some of my clients that are just like, oh, that pain in the ass, dude. I mean, they don't even really pay that much for service, and then the highest paying ones, dude, easiest can be like the sweetest people you can work with. It's just incredible how that works, man.
And by the way, I think that's universal to any business. Any business.
Yeah.
If you've got
Oh
like,
yeah.
I
Easy.
can't. The people who within 3 minutes of me having a conversation with them about pool service, if they're already starting to nickel and dime me, I'm like, listen, just stop. This is not like I'm going to give you a very very fair price. I'm not in the business of ripping people off. But if you're like, no, I don't want to pay 120 a month. I want to pay 110 a month. I'm like, do you want to actively encourage me to not want to work hard for your pool. It's like, because you're doing it, it's like, and that it's how someone speaks, it's how someone talks, it's your communications via text. I'm starting to pick up pretty quickly as to who the headache clients are going to be and who the really, really, really easy, high quality ones are.
Absolutely, man. So, what are some of your like immediate goals that you have for Water Dogs? I mean, I don't know if you see yourself doing this for the next 10 years, or what's kind of like your some of your goals for the business.
Realistically, and I don't want to make it sound like, but I'm not going to be in this business forever. I think this is a really, really good starter business. In the beginning, when I first acquired it, I'm like, I'm going to become the pool god. I'm the pool king of all pools. I'm going to master the craft. Like going to some of these conferences and talking to people in Brad's group. It's like, I like the concept of, like, I've got a buddy in that group who owns a strategic gifting and like consulting business. And in the elevator, from us going to our room at that conference down to the conference level, he could pitch someone in that elevator on business, whether you owned a floral shop in Montana or a pool company in South Florida, So I kind of envy the idea of having a product or service that's universal. With my company, it's very geographic specific. It's specific only to South Florida for the time being. You have to be a homeowner. You have to have a pool. You don't have to be a homeowner, but I don't think I'm going to be in this business forever, but I'm going to learn a lot of lessons from it. Every single client that I pick up and retain for the long term is an extra number to our bottom line when I eventually want to sell it. So I'm just having a hell of a time doing it for now. And, time will tell what the future will look like.
That's awesome, man. I'm wishing you the best of luck with that. And yeah, I can definitely see you doing, bigger things. But that's great that you see this as, not a stepping stone, but more so like, you're learning from it because you're going to be building up to something bigger and greater, which is amazing, man. So I kind of want to get into, how you, what you do like behind the scenes. We talked, even offline, we talked about like having mentors and things of that nature. We're part of the same coaching community. So kind of tell us how you discovered real coaching, what you think of Brad Lee, how that whole experience has been so far.
Well, dude, that coaching community is like the best kept secret. Honest to God, dude. And it's so funny because like I was talking with another member about this a couple weeks ago. We were talking about like, dude, we got to grow these numbers, man. It seems like there's the same number of people. And I kind of told him like, dude, selfishly, I kind of like not having a lot because you get to have personalized attention and communication with the man himself. Yeah. But
we'll make sure Jay doesn't hear that part. No.
Yeah, and Brad, don't. I'm always like, dude, the price of being in this group is so insanely cheap. I'm like, Brad, don't raise prices though. That's not an invitation.
Don't, please.
But no, I had a buddy probably maybe in 2018, we'll call it, years ago. And he went and saw Ed Milet speak in Vegas, by the way, this whole community is so interconnected. Yeah. I'm learning.
Yeah, dude.
But he heard Ed Milet speak, and then Brad was connected to that somehow, and he started listening to his podcast. And he's like, oh, dude, you might like this. It's the Dropping Bombs podcast. And I immediately connected because him and I have like very similar just senses of humor. That was one of the first things I picked up on. And the dude just like 50% of the reasons why I join these calls are just because like it's like a comedy show, man. I laugh my ass off. But dude. I just consumed his podcast for years and years and years and just loved it. And then randomly, this was months ago, maybe in January or February, around the same time actually, that I had been about a month or two into the pool business, that I think about it. And he did like something on his story where he was talking about like, if you want to be a part of this group or whatever, swipe up. And I checked it out, and I saw the price tag, and at that point in time, I had never invested in myself, ever. Because for reference, at Cutco, it was always free. If I had a question, because all the programs are the same. So if the guy in LA was crushing it and getting results, I could just text him. We get on the Zoom and talk. Michael, that is not how the real business world works. No. If you're in a business similar to mine and I want to pick your brain, dude, I'll send you the invoice. It's like, what? So the idea of like paying for coaching or mentoring or networking was kind of foreign, but I kind of mulled on it for a couple of weeks, and then eventually I was like, screw it, dude. I'm gonna give it a shot. And I think that event will be the catalyst, the launching point for everything for me. Because since doing that, I've joined a couple other communities. I've started going to some paid conferences, um, and it's just changed the game for me. It really has. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm the smartest man alive, but dude, when you have direct access to these people that you
Oh
admire
yeah.
so much, it just changes the game. And not necessarily just from an educational standpoint, from a thinking bigger standpoint. I think that's really where the biggest impact for me has come from is like I just think different. I think bigger. I don't think in terms of oh, can I swing a couple $100 a month? I'm like I can't afford not to do. This is an opportunity. I cannot miss this. You know.
Yeah.
So it's been an awesome experience so far.
That's great, man. Yeah, dude, everything you said, I second everything. Just because, outside looking in, I mean, if you look at like the top athletes, top musicians, celebrities, dude, they all have coaches, man. Like
Yeah.
they're paying like top dollar, like what LeBron James pays like what $2-3 million a year to take care of his body and the nutrition and all that. So it's like, dude, we're paying a couple $100 a month to basically get coached by one of the best who's done it. So it makes perfect sense.
And it's funny. I had a guy in Cutco for years where I'm not joking. I used to scoff at the idea of having a coach. I had a guy. He was running a marathon. There was a guy who was running a marathon or a Tough Mudder or something. And he was like, yeah, I hired a coach to help assist me. I'm like, you need a fucking coach to teach you how to run, how to move your legs? How stupid is that? But now I'm like, it makes total sense. It's been a total mental shift for me.
Oh, bro. Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. It's awesome. And yeah, I mean, like we're still pretty early in the game, so I'm excited to see like how everybody's gonna pan out like the next, near the end of the year and things like that.
Yeah.
But what are kind of like some of the biggest things you've learned that you probably didn't know or you probably thought were like myths or false information before that you learn now and apply to your business?
Man. Well, number one, it's this content game. I used to be so historically anti-social media, and to a certain extent, I mean, deep in my core. If you read some of my captions or you see some of my posts are like satirical, like when I go on TikTok, those little like things you can put on the cover page or whatever. Like there's
Yeah.
this that like I'll be like, whoa, three exclamation points. I'm like this because I'm like impersonating but people do that seriously, which makes me laugh. But
Yeah.
dude, I came to the conclusion. The reason why I became a district manager at Cutco is the impact and influence that my managers had on me. I wanted to have on other people, and that's my guiding metric for everything in life. And when I kind of went off into the shadows for a couple years after leaving, I kind of lost that. I kind of lost my flame. So even though I don't necessarily love posting to Instagram, I don't necessarily love paying a videographer to put this stuff out. My mission is simple. I want to impact people and I want to influence people in a positive way. And I'm simply using this content creation stuff as a tool to do that. Because if I want to increase my reach and I want to impact the masses, I can't do that if you don't have a following. And a guy like Brad, I aspire to be more like. I admire that guy in such a big way, and to learn directly from him, it's just, I mean, it's priceless. So that's been one big thing for me is this content stuff. Like that's my number one thing right now, even more than the pool business. Honestly, is building this brand of mine. I wear this stupid hat, the dog hat. I'm branding the
How's
hell.
branding, man?
That's it. I've told myself, I told my videographer, I'm like, if I'm not wearing this hat in the video, don't hit record. All right. If I don't have something on me that says dog, I'm gonna brand that word. And it's been a journey. I'm only a couple months into it, but
Yeah.
it's been fun, man. It's been interesting. It's difficult.
Yeah.
It can be challenging at times, but I'm having fun doing it.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned at the beginning, I've been following you, and you've been posting what 3-4 times a day. I mean,
Trying.
it's like it's
Sometimes
pretty.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, dude. Because I mean, most like for me, for example, I post like once a day, and I know I should be amplifying and intensifying the posts. Um, as far as your content goes, though, like, do you have a specific process of like how you develop the content, or is it kind of like, hey, dude, come shoot me, and we're just gonna shoot some stuff and just post it? Like, what's kind of like your process right now?
Dude, I'm trying, what's the phrase with it? I've taken Brad's advice in stride. Like, I'm a very literal person. I've taken his
Right.
advice in stride. He said, post 3 to 4 times a day to 6 different platforms. And that was before Threads came out, so now it's 7. And
Yeah.
by the way, that's so easy. Like, I mean, it's because so many, like, between Twitter, Facebook, Threads, and LinkedIn, those are all like four. You can write stuff on that. It's not purely just like
Right.
Instagram's photos, YouTube's videos. Like, if I
Yeah.
post a tweet, I just hit copy and paste, and I can send out to the
Yep.
other three. And I can do
Exactly.
that a few times a day, just a thought or an anecdote or whatever. But
Hmm.
Brad always says document, don't create. And the only video up to this point that I've kind of quote unquote created was the sit down video, the Q&A video, the most
Oh,
recent one
gotcha.
on
Yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
And even that,
Hmm.
I, I kind of came up with the answers on the spot. You know what I mean? But half
Hmm.
the time, dude, it's just I set a date with my videographer. I go, hey, let's plan for a couple hours. I've set up some sort of event, whether we're doing some advertising or whether we're cleaning some swimming pools or whatever.
Hmm.
And I'm like, just hit record, and that's it. There's no script. There's no agenda. Because also, dude, I it's one of those things where like you can smell when something is scripted. I had a buddy at the conference, my buddy James at the conference. He was showing me one of his posted videos. He's like, "What do you think
Hmm.
about this?" And within like 7 nanoseconds, I'm like, "You're reading a script, aren't you?" He's like, "How can you tell?" I'm like, "Your pupils are moving just like the tiniest. I can tell you're looking at something off camera, you know."
Yeah.
So for me, dude, nothing scripted. I like to just I, I think we create the best content when we do that. Because
Hmm.
if
I
you sit
agree.
down and you just like, hey, these are the words I'm going to say, here's how I'm going to say it, it's inauthentic. It's not real. You know, people want
Hmm.
the real stuff. They want to hear you stutter. And they want to, who gives a shit if you make a mistake? And, you know, they want you.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen, brother. That's perfect. That's perfect advice. I think people kind of get caught up with, they see, like, for example, we watch Brad's content, we see other entrepreneurs we look up to, and a lot of people tend to like try and emulate those people and try to like not be themselves. But I think at the end of the day, when you just press record, man, and it's like your true self comes out. And that's kind of what I tell my clients as well. I mean, like, granted, we do script some stuff because there's some specific things they
Yeah,
have to mention, especially when it deals with like a real estate market or things like
of
that.
course. Yeah.
But for the most part, we just kind of just bullet point, certain things that they want to say, toss the script, and we just hit record, and we just let the magic happen.
And
So,
dude, if you're someone
um,
who's like nervous about that, it's like,
yeah.
we just did some video the other day. I got a new tattoo on. And I wanted to document that. I thought, hey, tattoo people like tattoos. That's an interesting thing to document. And
Yeah.
the artist that was doing it, we did a little bit of a sit down for 5 minutes, and he's like, dude, I just
Nice.
feel awkward in front of cameras. I just can't do this. I'm like, how do you fucking think I felt the first time I shot a basketball? It takes time, dude. It takes
Yeah. Yeah.
practice, you know.
Totally.
So
Totally. So what do you do, like, when you're first start getting in front of the camera, like, I'm sure you've kind of felt a little foreign. So what did you do to basically overcome that
well,
fear?
it's funny. And I talked with Sean Cannell, like the YouTube
Okay, yeah.
king. And
Think
by the
be
way,
real, yep.
by the way, this is going to be. I think it might be our flagship video. We recorded at
Shit.
Brad's office, his HQ,
Oh
with the
wow.
Forward event conference, and then as Sean was coming out of the bathroom, we caught him. He talked with us on camera for like 5 minutes about YouTube. So like that, I don't know what it looks like yet, but man, that's going to be great. But dude, I remember he said something to me where he was like, just get 1% every better, 1% better every video, 1%. And I think about that, and I'm like, the very first long form video I ever posted about cleaning a pool, like the beginning is me standing in my trailer. I'm like, hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm not here to sell you anything. I just want to add value to your life. And now I'm like, it's only been a couple of short months, and I'm like a totally different guy on camera now.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
before I'm like, I'd be like, hey, let's not record this part, Now I'm like, keep that shit rolling. All right, well, let's capture everything. Even if it's not good, we'll figure that out later.
Mm.
But I forgot your question. I brought up Sean Cannell and I went off on a
Oh
tangent.
no, it was just because well, I mean, like obviously you come like what I was mentioning earlier. You have positive vibes, very charismatic. But I'm sure there was a time when you felt foreign in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So if you did, like, what did you do to overcome that fear? Because I mean, that's a huge fear for a lot of people. That's why a lot of people don't even start making contents because of that.
Well, we talked about this just yesterday on the coaching call with Brad. One of the top 10 shitty habits, right? And one of them was
Mm-hmm.
caring what other people think. I've always kind of prided myself on the fact that, Ed Milet talks about it. He's like, you're going to go through life and really give a shit what cab driver 2 or bouncer number 3 thinks about you. It's like, they're not part of your story. You're the main character. It's like, I don't fucking care. Now, I do care in the sense that I want to add value to people's lives. So if someone reaches out to me like, dude, your videos genuinely are like, stink. Like, I'm not getting any. No one, I don't think, would ever reach out to me and say that because I do a good job with putting this stuff out. But I just, if I say something the wrong way, if I screw something up, if I mess up a segment, if I stutter, if a joke doesn't land, I don't get nervous around the camera because I know my intent is pure, and that's important.
Great point.
If you're up on a stage and you're talking, so people, I could never. It's like, dude, I could screw the whole thing up. My intent is to serve. So if I screw up in the process, I'm a human being. So I kind of had to repeat that to myself a lot when I was newer, but now it's kind of second nature with the practice.
Man, that's powerful, dude. That's huge because yeah, I think a lot of people they tend to forget why they're even doing it in the first place. It's like they're either like copying people or yeah.
I think most people in this industry, in this world, this personal development world, they're doing it for the wrong reasons. I found, and they're doing it purely for the money. They're doing it for the fame. They're doing it for themselves. And don't get me wrong, when I heard Brad talking about branding, and he's like, yeah, some guy with a Rolls Royce like just lets me borrow his Rolls Royce if I shout him out of my story. I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. I wouldn't turn that down. There's perks, especially like I wanna own real estate. I want to keep buying businesses. The deal flow that comes from having the following. Like, do you think Pace Morby has any issues acquiring real estate with his following? No. If someone can't sell their house or whatever, like but they follow him, I think they're willing to. They'll probably shoot a message out to the guy. And like being in a position like that in the business world, where like you're known and people want to reach out to you, stuff like that, I think is cool. But the mission is to serve. That's it. Just to
Yeah.
add value to people's lives.
Totally, man. Totally. So I wanted to go into something else, but I'm just so excited, dude. I need to, because when you sent those pictures about you meeting Brad, dude, and you're at his headquarters, I was like, bro, I have to get the story. So how did that happen, dude? How did you get into the real Brad Lee's headquarters? How did that all came to be, man?
All right. To you and your audience, hold on to your tits. You ready for this? I asked. That's the magic. That's the sauce right there, dude. That's it, man. You would be astonished at what. But the story is, my buddy James called me up. He was going to the Ford event in Vegas, ran by Neil and Trevor, and it was kind of an event for loan officers. But I hadn't been to a conference in so long, and I'm like, I just want to switch it up. I want to do something fun. I want to go shake some new hands, learn some stuff, right? And even if it might be centered towards loan officers, I guarantee I'll pull something from it. Guaranteed. And I looked at the calendar because I booked my flight, and I'm like, wait a minute. We have our live call every Wednesday evening at Eastern Standard Time. But
Yeah.
I'm like, the event starts on Friday. What if I flow out a couple days early and just instead of being on my computer, just attend the call live, you know? And I didn't have any expectations of like, oh, Brad owes me this because I'm a paying man. That wasn't that. But
Yeah.
I talked to someone who had been on his podcast and kind of asked him like, hey, what do you think? And he was like, dude, he would love that. He would encourage that if he did that. I mean, he was like, dude, you're a paying client. That's fine. That stuff is normal. And I reached out to Jay, and he's like, we've had other people do it as well. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it.
That's awesome.
I just flew out, and I hired a videographer while I was out there. So we captured content, and shout out Brandy. But she documented the whole thing. We sat through the whole call like it was normal, but then afterwards, man, we got to tour the whole HQ,
Damn.
his training facility downstairs, and I tell you what, dude, that experience, it really was like I talk about Ed Milet so much. Like he always talks about touching your dreams. Like when he was broke, but he would still go to the Ritz Carlton for a weekend because he wanted to put himself in the environment of big thinkers and successful people. And leaving that office that day with Brad, even though that was probably a nothing throwaway day for him, for me it was like, whoa, this is how like it expanded my capacity, man, in a big way. Um, and then it just that whole event, man, just talking with people and engaging with the speakers. I got a chance to shake hands with David Meltzer at the event and Sean Cannell at our video, and all these other people. It's just you have to do that stuff if you want to get better. But man, it was an awesome experience. If you get the opportunity, man, do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Like, so was he kind of? Was he exactly the same as he is on the calls, or was it kind of like a little bit of a wall that he puts up, or was he just exactly the same?
He's even more Brad than
That's awesome.
he's a character. He's
Yeah.
at the end, dude, he's a performer, really. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
I was talking. He was probably a little bit more Brad that particular day because there were guests in on the call. But dude, he's the real deal. He really is, man. He's a fun
That's
dude. He's
awesome.
funny. He's cracking jokes. Uh, it's some stuff I can't repeat, I'm sure. But dude, yeah, if you like Brad from his podcast or from his social media stuff, you'd fucking love the dude in person. He's funny.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that content. When do you expect it to be out? Like later this month, or?
Brandy, man, she's busting my balls. She said 2 to 4 weeks. So who knows? I don't know. I think she said she hopefully it's closer to 2 weeks and 4 weeks. But I'm kind of I wasn't expecting to create any content from that trip anyway. So I'm kind of
Got it.
considering that as like it's a supplement to my.
Okay,
So
cool, man. That's dude.
that,
Yeah, when you. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, trust me though, when that video does drop, any human being I run into, I'm gonna share that one. That's gonna
That's
be
awesome.
so
Yeah, you
good.
got to save that.
Oh yeah.
Bro. That's like for the ages, dude. That's something that's gonna be, you're forever gonna remember that. That's so awesome, dude. What was I gonna say? Yeah. When you posted those pictures, I was kind of like, dude, is this Photoshop? Wait a second, this dude's from Florida, bro. And I was just like, oh, okay, he's there. I was like, dude, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I was just like super excited for you right away, man. So
Well,
that's great.
you've seen my Instagram profile picture, man. I'm classically trained in photos.
Yeah.
You know.
Amazingly trained. Cool, man. So like, I kind of want to get back to business as far as, let's say someone's brand new, they want to purchase a business. I mean, what are some things they should look out for as far as, due diligence? What are the pitfalls of buying a business, things of that nature, if someone wants to basically follow your path of buying a business?
Well, the thing is, the average person, Michael, is definitely not me. I don't say that to like make myself sound big and fancy, but like I do have
Sure.
experience. I'm not. It's not like I've been a toll booth attendant or a gas station clerk for the last decade or two. I did have experience working with people, and dude, I've interviewed 10,000 plus people. I've trained and developed. I stopped counting at that number at over 1,000. Like when you're in sales and recruiting and marketing and business for as long as I've been, given my age, I'm only 26. It's not like I'm a 65-year-old. You learn things. You learn how to read people. You see through the bullshit. So, like, if you don't have that experience, I would recommend doing a little more due diligence. Learning stuff, making sure there's systems in place, there's processes in place. If there's a broker involved, that's a tremendous tool for you because that person does the job for a living. He or she can educate you a lot better than I can. Especially maybe they've got specialty. More than likely have special knowledge on the industry that you're going into, right? So doing due diligence, but not doing, like I said earlier, not so much that you get paralysis by analysis, right? There's so many people out there that, my God, man, they'll make 17 spreadsheets and they'll do this. Nope. If Yes, sometimes you have to do it. So commit to doing it, but don't skimp out on doing the back work, the behind the scenes
Mhm.
work. Some of the pitfalls, though, man. I mean, cash flow is important, very important. You got to know your numbers. And that
Mhm.
stuff does go into what I just said as well. That's kind of
Yeah.
due diligence, but
Right.
I don't know, man. That's I haven't like acquired multiple businesses, so I don't have a ton of advice
Mhm.
on that. But I just know talking with the right people, talking with people in the same industry, and working with a broker. If you do those three things and you do some research yourself, you're going to put yourself in a much better position to succeed. I would say.
Awesome, man. Great. Um, yeah, one of the things I wanted to also cover was kind of like, so I mean, what's the future look like for Brady Flanders? I mean, you have successful pool company right now. You're constantly surrounding yourself with great people. You've met great entrepreneurs and things of that nature. I mean, where do you see yourself? I would say like 5 years from now. What's kind of like? Do you have any plans cooking up right now?
Oh, that's a phenomenal question. I sometimes struggle with the goal setting stuff
Yeah.
in that relation because I don't know if I could be in a federal penitentiary in 5 years, dude. It's like you never
I
know.
hope not.
Hopefully not,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, that'd suck.
Yeah.
But like every decision that you make, the average person makes 35,000 conscious remote decisions on a daily basis. It's like every single decision you make is going to push you in a direction. So it's tough for me to say, oh, in 5 years I want to own 100 pieces of cash flowing real estate and 10 cash flowing businesses, and I want to be an author and an entrepreneur and speaking on stage. It's like, yeah, in a perfect world, that'd be pretty freaking sweet. But I don't know, man. I have no clue. I'm kind of I to combat that to what I'm talking about here. I try my best to visualize. After the event in Vegas, and this is a little. I shared this on my story. I don't know if you saw it, but it's a little woo woo to me. Some of the visualization and affirmation stuff. But after that event, because there were 1,000 people there, and some big name speakers that have had a big time impact on me, I sat in that room the day after the event. I pulled up the whole room was empty. All the chairs and tables and stage, everything was deconstructed. And I sat in the back of the room in one of the chairs, and I took one of those, like, when the waiters have the little tray on
Yeah, the
their.
trace. Yeah.
Yeah, I took one of those and I used that as a little makeshift desk. And I just worked for a few hours in that room, and I just thought about the experience of speaking on a stage in front of people like that. And the tape
Wow.
from the stage was still on the ground. The stage is gone, but like the tape where it centers it in the room, and where it was still there. And I paced back and forth. I put myself in the shoes of someone who was doing that. And here's the thing, man. I guarantee every person who's ever become someone like that, they've done the same thing at some point in time. And so I don't know what the hell things are going to look like in 5 years, but I'm gonna most certainly try my best to put myself in a position where big things are possible. That's what I can say.
Amen, brother. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, man, 26. I didn't know you're so young, dude.
Dude,
That's like,
it was a lot.
dude, bro. You know what a lot of 26-year-olds are doing right now, dude. You're like on the right path, man.
Well, dude, it was a lot cooler when I was 19. Like when I was 19 at
Oh
Cutco,
yeah,
I was interviewing 50-year-olds, and like they're all like,
yeah,
all my sales team were like chit chat, like, how old do you think Brady is? I don't know. He hasn't told me. He said I can go to the next conference if he wants it. If I want to know, and I used to do that. I'm like, you want to know what I am? Dude, you got to get to the next event. You got to come to the next team meeting. I use it as a carrot, but it was a lot cooler
okay,
when I was 19. Now I'm 26. I don't feel like it's that impressive. Yeah.
bro. That's whoo, man. That's awesome, dude. Well, we're getting to the tail end of the show,
Sure.
but I just wanted to ask you, how can people find you, man? Go ahead and list off your handles
Dude,
for
it's
everybody to follow.
Big Dog Brady Flanders on every single platform: Threads, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn is just my Brady Flanders. That's BRADYFLANDERS. Tom like Brady, Ned like Flanders, and it's hard to miss me. Dude, I had a question for you, dude.
Oh yeah,
You're
man.
a Seahawks fan, allegedly.
I am
I was thinking
big
about
time.
that. We are as neutral of foes as one could be. I was thinking about because like you're in the NFC, I'm in the AFC. We've played each other in 2008, 2012, 2016, 2020. There's been no weird flex years. There's been no nasty playoff
Yeah.
losses, and all four of those games have been relatively close. And and we're 2-2. We took 08 and 12. You took 16 and 20. How the hell did you get the Seahawks? Dude, a Seahawk's not even an animal, man. That's a fake animal.
I know, bro, dude. I mean, I grew up in Seattle, so I could have had no choice. I mean, I grew up as a 49ers fan because I love Jerry Rice, Joe Montana,
Oh boy.
those guys. But once you move to Seattle, bro, you kind of get like once you drink the juice, dude, it's hard to shake off, man.
Yeah,
And
once you smoke the fentanyl and live in the streets,
Yeah.
and what is that? That's yeah.
bro, exactly, dude. So like when we made those Super Bowl runs, it's kind of like,
point,
man,
yeah.
those were the glory days. So you're talking about Dolphins, right?
I'm a diehard lunatic. And it sounds insane to say out loud. That's part of the reason
Yeah.
I moved down here. Like I just wanted to go to
Really?
games because before I moved down
dude.
here, I was living in Michigan, and I got to
Yeah,
a point
yeah.
where I could live anywhere. Where if I could throw a dart, where would it be? And I'm like, dude, South Florida is pretty badass. Like that'd be
That's what I
sick.
keep hearing. Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? Live in fucking Ohio? Like, they should burn that state to the ground. There's nothing that's coming out of it.
Whoa.
It's the worst state in the union. Who lives in
Oh,
Ohio,
dude.
dude?
Oh,
What?
bro.
Or what? Like Pennsylvania? Come on, dude. Like if you're, it blows me away that people live and they could live anywhere, and they're like, you know what? I'm gonna build a life in Iowa. Like, what are you doing, Mr. Corn? Move somewhere cool.
Oh,
You know?
oh.
Calling you out,
Bro.
right now.
All right. Okay. We'll see. We'll see how many people comment on this video. That
Yeah,
are
well,
from
there's
this
46 other states. Let me start talking more shit. We'll get some we'll get some engagement on this podcast.
Let's go. Let's do it. Come on. Yes, sir. Do you see yourself in Florida for a while, or?
I
do you
think so, man. It's just
Yeah.
a hell of a place. I like when I was in Vegas, man. It's like 170 degrees every day. It's not like a fun 170. You walk out, like for reference, I got a new tattoo on my arm, and this was before I left for Vegas. But like for 3 days, it didn't scab up or nothing. The humidity down here kind of kept it. It was like living in a humidor almost. I go to Vegas for 2 hours, and it's already flaking. Like it's just a different
It's a dry heat.
beast. And
Yeah.
maybe I'd live in like California, but I don't really feel like, giving 13% of my income away to live
Oh,
next to
God.
a communist.
Yeah.
So it's you gotta take the good and the bad, dude.
I'm with you there, bro. Yeah, I heard that. I read that they're going to raise it to like I think 19% or something like that. Something outrageous.
That state is they're already having a mass accident. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
an example
They're
of
done.
that state is gonna get shrunk into oblivion. You
bro.
just can't live there. How do you live in that state?
No, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how my friends and family live there. I just don't get it. It just does not make any sense. Oh man. All right. Well, hey Brady, dude, this was an awesome time talking to you, my man. It was
Absolutely.
great picking your brain and hope to have you on again. Was there any last final words you wanted to say to everybody?
Yeah, man, I got nothing to pitch. I don't have a book. I don't have a course. I'm working on a website just for the branding, but like, I don't have anything to sell or pitch. If there's one thing I wanted to pitch, it'd be me. Like, check me out on social media. I try my best to post inspiring stuff, funny stuff, educational stuff. The other day, someone said my page was, they said it was edutainment. I'm like, that's a pretty good word, educational entertainment. But, dude, if you want to become a better version of yourself and you want to grow with me, because I'm not talking at people, I'm talking with people, check me out on social media, man. I'd love to have you and engage with you. And that's it, man. That's it.
Awesome, man. Great. Well, hey, thanks again, Brady. And I always like to end each podcast with our, question of the show. So I always ask all these guests this question. So let's just say 30 years from now, you're able to build a time machine. And you're able to travel 30 years into the future. You're walking down the hot beaches of South Florida. We'll just say Miami. You're walking around there. You're looking around, and you turn around and you see yourself 30 years from now. And so you're 26. So the 56-year-old Brady sees you as well. But he knows it's you. So obviously. So what would you want that 56-year-old Brady to say to you at that point?
What would I want myself 30 years from now to impart some wisdom on me now? What would I want to say? That's a great question. I would say, well, first and foremost, I would dap him up and say, "You dirty dog, you handsome fella, man, oh man, you stud." But no, after that, I would have if he were to impart some advice on me, man, I would say he would probably say, "Give, give, 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 give," and I think with my trajectory, that's my goal. I'm not. I never have any expectations. I never take anything personally, um, and I'm just trying to add value. So if he's successful in 30 years, I think it would be because of that.
Got it. Got it. Awesome, man. I love it. Well, glad to have you on board, Brady. Looking forward to growing with you, my man.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk to you soon. And thank you, everybody, for joining the show today. And as always, love the grind.
It's been a pleasure. See ya.
All right, man.
That was good.
That's good.